If you don't know who you are, Nietzsche would say this: stop borrowing secondhand values. Stop letting your family, culture, or society dictate your path. Because here's the brutal truth. The values you never chose may be the very chains keeping you lost. The real question isn't who am I? It's darker. Whose voice am I really living by? And if it isn't yours, then your future doesn't belong to you. Modern people aren't lost because we lack choices. We're lost because we inherited scripts. Scripts that tell us what success means, what happiness looks like, who we're supposed to be. Nietzsche saw this everywhere. He believed morality, ambition, even our sense of identity, were often hand-me-downs from generations too afraid to think for themselves. We live by invisible shoulds. I should be successful. I should be nice. I should always be productive. But Nietzsche would pause and ask, where did those shoulds even come from? Who benefits from you believing them? Each should is a quiet command from someone else's world, your parents, your teachers, the crowd. And when you obey them blindly, you stop being creator of values and become a prisoner of them. So if you feel lost, Nietzsche's challenge is this: don't search for your identity. Burn the scripts. Question every should. Only then can you begin the terrifying, beautiful work of becoming who you truly are. Before you can become who you truly are, you have to understand who taught you to be what you are. Most of us walk through life carrying a set of values we never actually chose. Hand-me-downs from our parents, our culture, and now, the digital world that tells us who we should be every second of the day. It starts with family. From the moment we can speak, we're surrounded by phrases like, be safe, don't embarrass us, work hard to fit in. These sound like love, and often they are, but hidden beneath them are fears passed down like heirlooms. Fears of rejection, fears of poverty, fears of standing out. Our parents didn't invent these. They inherited them from their parents, who learned to survive in a world far harsher than ours. So we grow up mistaking survival codes for truths. What kept them safe might be what keeps us small. Then comes culture, religion, tradition, nationality, all whispering what's right and wrong. Nietzsche warned us that morality isn't universal. It's history disguised as truth. Every culture writes its own commandments, and we're taught to obey them without question. But what if those rules were designed for a world that no longer exists? What if obedience to tradition has become the enemy of creation? And now there's a new teacher, one far more powerful than priests or parents ever were: the algorithm. Today's values aren't carved in stone. They're coded in servers. Social media decides what's desirable, what's shameful, what's trending. We scroll through other people's curated lives, unconsciously downloading their priorities, their aesthetics, their outrage, their idea of success. You're not just inheriting your ancestors' values anymore. You're inheriting the internet's too. So when you wonder why you feel lost, maybe it's because you're carrying 1,000 borrowed voices inside your head, each one pulling you in a different direction. Family says, play it safe. Culture says, follow the rules. The algorithm says, be seen. And somewhere deep inside, your real voice, the one that's quiet, original, yours, is suffocating beneath them all. Nietzsche's challenge begins here. Trace the lineage of your values. Hold each one up to the light and ask, did I choose this, or was it chosen for me? Only when you confront the source of your beliefs can you begin the dangerous, liberating work of creating new ones. Most people live their entire lives inside invisible chains. Rules so deep, they don't even realize they're obeying them. Nietzsche called this slave morality, a system of values created by the powerless to control the strong. It began centuries ago, when those without power needed a way to survive in a world ruled by strength, courage, and ambition. They couldn't defeat the powerful in battle. So they redefined what good meant. Suddenly, humility became a virtue. Obedience was called morality. Self-denial became holiness. These traits sound noble, and in many ways they are, but Nietzsche saw the danger hidden inside them. They were born not from strength, but from resentment. Instead of rising to power, the powerless changed the definition of power itself. They said, "The meek shall inherit the earth." And from that day on, greatness became something to apologize for. This morality still shapes us today. We're taught to be good, to stay humble, to not want too much. But Nietzsche would ask, good for whom? Maybe your obedience serves the herd, not your soul. Maybe your self-denial keeps you small enough to be safe and harmless enough to be ignored. Think about how often you've silenced yourself to fit in or felt guilty for wanting more. That's not conscience, that's conditioning. The herd values safety above all, but the individual craves freedom. And that freedom always comes with risk. The risk of being misunderstood, rejected, even hated. The herd says, don't stand out. Nietzsche says, you were never meant to blend in. Every time you suppress your ambition to seem humble, every time you obey without thinking, every time you call your fear virtue, you tighten those invisible chains. Nietzsche's challenge isn't to rebel blindly. It's to see clearly, to look at every good you've been taught and ask, is this making me stronger or smaller? Because morality built on fear breeds weakness, but morality born from strength creates life. So look around. The herd is comfortable, safe, and asleep, but comfort is the cage of the human spirit. If you feel a spark of rebellion rising within you, don't kill it. That's not arrogance. It's your will to freedom waking up. And the question Nietzsche leaves us with is simple. Which one are you obeying, the herd or yourself? Nietzsche would say that the word should is the language of chains. It sounds harmless, even responsible, but beneath it lies quiet obedience. I should get a stable job. I should want marriage and kids. I should be productive every second of the day. Every should sound like advice. But Nietzsche would ask, who benefits from you believing this? When you live by shoulds, you're living by expectations that aren't your own. They're social contracts written by people who don't even know you, parents, teachers, corporations, algorithms. They whisper, stay on the path, don't question it. And because we fear rejection, we obey. But each should hides a deeper truth. It keeps you predictable, manageable, safe. The world doesn't reward authenticity. It rewards compliance. Nietzsche saw this as the death of individuality. When the human spirit trades freedom for approval, we wear our shoulds like armor, thinking they'll protect us. But that armor also traps us. It keeps us from asking the only question that matters. What do I truly want? When you start peeling back your shoulds, something strange happens. You begin to see which values are inherited and which are real. The difference feels like stepping from a crowded room into silence. It's uncomfortable at first, almost terrifying, but that's the feeling of becoming self-directed. Nietzsche's challenge isn't to abandon all structure. It's to rebuild it consciously, to stop living as a reaction to the world, and start living as a creation of your own will. So the next time you hear yourself say, I should pause, ask, is this my voice or someone else's script? Because freedom doesn't begin when you break the rules. It begins when you realize which rules were never yours to follow. Nietzsche believed that life's highest purpose isn't comfort, it's self-overcoming. To overcome yourself means to take everything weak, wounded, and fearful within you and turn it into strength. Your struggles are not proof of failure. They're invitations to grow. Every setback, every rejection, every dark night of the soul is the raw material for transformation. Most people run from pain, but Nietzsche would say, Pain is a forge, the fire that refines, not destroys. Comfort breeds stagnation. Struggle, faced consciously, breeds depth. The person who embraces difficulty doesn't just survive life, they create themselves through it. At the core of this transformation lies Nietzsche's most misunderstood idea, the will to power. It's not about dominating others. It's about expanding yourself. It's the inner drive to push beyond what you were yesterday. Power, in Nietzsche's sense, is not control, it's creation. It's saying, I choose my values. I decide what strength, beauty, and truth mean for me. The world will resist this. People will call you arrogant, selfish, even dangerous. But Nietzsche's answer is simple. If you don't define your own values, someone else will. And that's how freedom quietly dies, not in chains, but in conformity. Then comes the ultimate challenge. What Nietzsche called the path of the Übermensch, the one who rises above both weakness and cruelty. It's not about being ruthless or superior. It's about transcending the false choice between victim and tyrant. The Übermensch creates meaning in a meaningless world. They don't inherit morality, they invent it. To become who you are isn't a slogan. It's a lifelong act of rebellion and creation. It's looking at your pain, your fears, your failures, and saying, this too will serve me. Because in Nietzsche's world, greatness isn't given, it's forged. And the only way to find yourself is to build yourself. If you feel lost, Nietzsche wouldn't tell you to find yourself. He'd tell you to build yourself, not by adding more noise to your life, but by stripping it away. Start with a value audit. Write down 5 things you live by, your rules, beliefs, or ambitions. Then ask, did I choose this or was it handed to me? If the answer feels uncertain, that's where your work begins. Those borrowed values, pleasing others, chasing safety, performing success, are the silent architects of your emptiness. Next, test them. Pick one that feels external. Maybe I should always be productive, or I should stay quiet to keep peace. For 1 week, resist it. Watch what happens when you stop obeying it. Discomfort will appear first, then clarity. You'll start to see how much of your life is built on invisible permission slips from others. Finally, create instead of copy. Begin building your own rituals, standards, and goals rooted in your voice. Wake up early, not because you should, but because that's when you feel most alive. Work hard, not to impress, but to express. Make decisions that align with the person you're becoming, not the one the world expects. Nietzsche's philosophy isn't about escaping the world. It's about transforming your relationship with it. You can't control what you inherit, but you can decide what you keep. And in that choice lies your freedom. Because the point isn't to live without values. It's to live with values that are truly yours. That's how the lost begin to find direction. Not through answers, but through creation. Nietzsche's advice for those who feel lost was never about finding yourself. It was about creating yourself. Because there is no hidden version of you waiting to be discovered, only the one you have the courage to build. To live authentically means cutting away the borrowed voices, the expectations of family, society, and culture that whisper who you should be. It means standing before the terrifying freedom of choice, knowing there are no maps, no guarantees, no one to blame if you fail. But that is also where power begins. When you stop asking, who am I supposed to be? And start declaring, this is who I choose to become. Nietzsche believed the human spirit was meant to rise, to turn pain into strength, confusion into creation, and chaos into meaning. So if you feel lost, don't search for the path. Forge it. Write new values. Shape new truths. Because only when you stop being a shadow of your ancestors can you finally step into the light of your own becoming.